Hey. These are the H1 switches designed by Quad H, also known as ahahaaaaaa, or I don't know, and manufactured by JWK. They are a linear switch that has a PC top housing, poly-made bottom housing, palm stem, 78 gram springs, and come lightly lubed, and use JWK's V2 mold. These are Quad H's modern take on the vintage Cherry Annex Blacks, and are said to be very smooth and have a deep sound signature. I got these with a fellow keyboard friend of mine, and they were freaking out over the fact that these were going to be the last runs of the H1s, saying how they'll be cheaper than store price. Basically, it was a mini group buy, so I hopped onto it, bought 300 of these switches. I went a bit overkill with it, but hey, they out of stock now, I think. Anyways, just to see if there was any difference with the ones I bought in the group buy, I bought 100 of these from Apex. TLDR, there's no difference. Anyways, the stock version of these switches, also sound varies when it comes to switches, keycaps, keyboards, plate material, mounting system, room size, room density, air density, desk mat, no desk mat, close on, close off, mic distance, mic quality, open window, running fan, air conditioning, table material, floor material, wall material. Anything can affect sound. These switches are good. They're sort of smooth because of the fact that factory lube, and feel pretty decent. There is a little bit of spring ping coming from the switches, but you have to get up close to hear it. When you're just typing on these, you won't hear it. There's a bit of scratchiness, and of course, that signature hollow sound that a lot of switches have when they're out of stock, when there are stock or factory lube spraying on these switches. Holy. It feels like I am giving my fingers a fucking workout. I type on 67 gram springs, and those compared to these, so fucking light. When I was typing on these switches, I felt my arm muscles getting a workout, and I really felt like I was like getting some mass on my arms from these. If you want to get your arms into shape without having to move around or go outside, use these switches. How about the lubed experience of these switches? These switches lubed are pretty good. The hollowness of the housing is now gone. The spring ping is also gone. They're really smooth as well. The sound of these switches isn't anything amazing, but it sounds not bad for what they are. The spring weight still gets me though. After typing even more than like 2 minutes straight, my hands just started tiring out. I just don't get those, I just don't got those buff ass fingers to type on 78 gram springs. But in the end of all this, would I recommend these switches? Maybe. And one thing I will say is these switches by themselves are decent, but there are several people out there that use these switches for Franken switching. Some people use the top or bottom housing and use cherry tops or something like that, and then kale stems, create some Franken switches. I don't remember. Just look up the Huru1s. Holy fuck. They're a Franken switch that was made by Dr. Huru. Very chill guy. Met him a couple of times. He streams on Twitch. Put his Instagram and Twitch in the description below. And I've tried these Franken switches, and I will say they are pretty good. So if you're into the whole Franken switching thing and want to try Huru1s, these are a switch that you'll need to get that going. But other than that, if you're into some heavy switches, these are a pretty good choice as well. I had these in my Lin montage at one point with 67 gram TX long springs, and they were pretty good with the spring swap. The switches are really smooth, and swapping the springs for a lighter one will definitely make these switches more likable. But if I were to choose between H1's Cherry MX Blacks and Hyperglides, I don't know. I do like myself some Cherry Hyperglides. Video on those at some point, I think. And the H1s are really nice switches as well. Cherry MX Blacks are a classic, and honestly, they're all really great switches. But for me personally, I prefer the Hyperglides. But that doesn't mean the H1s should be left out of the conversation. The H1s, though they have that bulky 78 gram spring swapping with a lighter spring makes these switches definitely a switch that feels good and people will like. But the price is one thing that will stop some people from purchasing these switches. At the time of recording on Definity, these switches are going for $7.50 for 10 switches, or 75 cents per switch, and that price is on the higher side of switch prices. For me, it wouldn't make sense to recommend these switches over the likes of Cherry Hyperglides or Cherry MX Blacks, but I will say these are smoother than the MX Blacks or Hyperglides. So whether or not you see a $3 difference in value when it comes to smoothness is your decision. You can either purchase the Hyperglides for $4.50 for 10, or Cherry MX Blacks for around $4 for 10, and have smooth with slight scratchy switches, or buy the H1s for $7.50 for 10 for smoother switches. It all depends on your preferences and how you value your spending. If you enjoyed this video, hit a like. I also do other keyboard content as well. If you like that, hit that subscribe button. I also have a Twitch. Try to stream every Friday at a reasonable time at twitch.tv/smileanddown. Here's a clip. Some of the things that I do over there. Oh! Oh my! No, 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 no. Not this again. Not this. Oh my! So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.